to you again, Aaron.
I will.
Starting this time with the reaction to Emmanuel Macron recognizing France's role in the Rwandan genocide.
Yeah, that's right. He stopped short of apologizing, but he did ask for forgiveness, which is a decision the Rwandan paper, The New Times, hailed in an editorial piece. The paper says that it will be accompanied by France naming its first French ambassador in Rwanda in 6 years, and concludes that it's a new path guided by, quote, truth, empathy, and forward thinking. Well, British paper The Guardian had a much different response with this opinion piece, which argues that Macron and Kagame's bromance, as the paper describes it, is actually a cynical piece of matchmaking that shows Kagame's skill at identifying new sources of support where traditional allies are faltering. It says that Kagame's image has gradually tarnished over the past couple of years over his intelligence services campaign of harassment, detention, torture, and assassination, which have damaged Rwanda's image. Now, while Macron is looking at strengthening his partnership with Kagame, others are turning away. The paper cites the United States will, saying that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken skipped over Rwanda on his virtual visit to Africa in April, and that came just months after the U.S. criticized the country for its human rights record.
Yeah, and France not the only country recognizing responsibility for atrocities in Africa.
No, and Germany went actually much further than France on Thursday by officially recognizing atrocities committed in Namibia during the colonial era as genocide. Now, according to German paper Zeit Online, between 1904 and 1908, up to 70,000 people were killed were massacred by German forces, mostly from two different ethnic groups. The foreign minister said that recognizing these events as genocide is aimed at finding a common path to reconciliation in memory of those victims. Now, that will also come with a €1 billion aid package to the affected communities.
Moving on, growing concerns about governance in Afghanistan as international forces leave.
Yes, the New York Times did an extensive piece on Afghan troops surrendering their outposts, their weapons, and their equipment to the Taliban. Now, the militant group is threatening to kill troops, is in some cases even paying troops to surrender. Since early May, the New York Times pointing out that at least 26 outbases in 4 different provinces of Afghanistan have surrendered their outposts to the militant group. It says that this is something that's occurred in the past, the Taliban negotiating troop surrenders, but never really on this scale over the past month. The paper says it's a part of the Taliban strategy to take advantage of the departure of foreign troops and to gradually seize and consolidate territory. Now, this Times piece came as the U.S. magazine Newsweek focused for its part on the fate of Afghan forces that worked with Americans during their time there. The paper focuses on mostly interpreters who in some cases worked with Americans for decades, over a decade, interpreting, helping the U.S. military strategy there. It says that according to one research project, more than 300 interpreters and their family members will have been killed over the past coming years for their cooperation with American forces. And so the paper is wondering what the Biden administration can do to help some of those people.
And staying with the Biden administration, the president has directed intelligence services to look into the possibility that COVID-19 was leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. A theory we've discussed before on Front Circle.
Yeah, that's right. The Washington Post asks what it will change if this theory turns out to be true. Now, the paper starts by wondering how it might affect relationships with China. If it is true, what types of punishments or sanctions might be considered. But it argues actually that the scientific community is the one with the most at stake in all of this, and that is because for months the community expressed doubt about the viability, about how realistic this theory was. Some even brushing it off as a conspiracy theory. This editorial concludes that while some degree of skepticism, of course, is always warranted, if it were to be proven true, it would be a massive reckoning when it comes to just how much the scientific community knows what it's doing, and more important, how much it may be letting external factors like politics cloud its judgment.
A similar argument being made about social media websites.
Yeah, that's the gist of a Wall Street Journal opinion piece. It looked at Facebook's reaction to the U.S. probe, saying that the company only stopped censoring posts posts that were claiming that the virus escaped from a lab when the Biden administration announced that it was going to launch a probe into it. Now, the piece criticizes the social media giant for that type of censorship, Will, because it says that they're really just looking to appease governments. It says that free speech is kind of supposed to protect the right to challenge the government. It says that instead, Facebook is acting as a private actor with its own speech rights and are, just expressing conformity with existing government views.
All right. Thank you very much, Erin Ogunkeye, with a look at what's making headlines. Time now for a quick break, and then Live from Paris continues.